Welcome to this training presentation about messy play. My name is Beth and I'm a children's occupational therapist working in the community of Newham. Today we will be exploring the benefits of messy play and talking about how it can be used in your setting. In this training presentation we will cover the following topics. What is messy play and what does it involve? The importance of messy play and how it helps children to develop. The stages of messy play. We will talk about the different stages and how to progress through each stage. We will share our top tips for getting started. And finally, we will finish with some questions to help you reflect on messy play in your own setting and think about how you can put your learning into practice. So, what is messy play? Well, messy play involves touching and exploring different materials using our hands or tools. We call it play because it should be fun, motivating and playful for everyone involved. You can use a variety of materials for messy play. This could include foods, but can also be done with other materials such as slime, sand, foam or paint. For some children and young people, touching and exploring new things with their hands is fun and exciting. Can you think of a child that you work with who loves to reach out and touch things with their hands? However, for other children, touching and exploring new things with their hands can be really challenging. Can you think of a child who avoids touching these materials and foods, or makes faces when they touch something wet and sticky, or runs away when presented with messy play activities? We are all wonderfully different, and each child has their own unique sensory preferences, and this will affect how they engage in messy play. Have you ever thought about how many different textures we touch every single day? Let's take a moment to think about it. The smooth toothpaste tube, or the scratchy bristles on your toothbrush, warm saucy foods, slippery soap, finger foods and snacks, slimy or sticky fruit, clothes and towels. The list is endless. Our tactile system is a sensory system which enables us to touch and feel things. Our tactile system is constantly adapting and responding to different textures such as these throughout the day. Some children are highly sensitive and responsive to tactile input. Therefore, touching some items or textures can be overwhelming or uncomfortable for them. This can lead to them avoiding certain activities. Some children are less responsive to touch and therefore seek out lots of opportunities to grab and feel things around them. We can use messy play to provide fun, playful opportunities for children to get familiar with touching different things. When children have opportunities to practice touching, it can be easier for them to tolerate touch during their daily activities. There are lots of benefits to messy play, and it can help children develop lots of important skills. It can help children to learn about the environment around them and understand the unique properties of different objects and how to handle them. It can help to prepare children for self-care activities that involve touching different textures, such as washing their hands with soap or having their hair brushed. It can improve participation in school-based activities that require tactile sensory processing, such as painting or engaging in arts and crafts. It can be meaningful and motivating, particularly if other senses, such as sight, are restricted. It can provide enjoyment and pleasure, and it can help the development of communication skills through anticipating, requesting, and sharing. It can also be used to support learning, for example, counting dried beans or drawing shapes in sand. It's time to dive into the stages of messy play. Now, you might be thinking, where do I start? Well, in the beginning, it is important to consider the different textures that you'll be using for your messy play activity. It can be helpful to break messy play activities into the following categories: dry textures, soft textures, wet and sticky textures, mixed textures. Before you start your messy play activity, it is important to think about the preferences and skills of the child or children that you're working with and identify what stage they are at. In most cases, we recommend starting with dry textures first and gradually, as the child's confidence builds, move on to soft textures. Once they're comfortable and confident with soft textures, you can try moving on to wet and sticky textures. And finally, when they're feeling really confident, you can introduce play with mixed textures. However, it is also important to recognise that not all children will follow this pattern in the same order. Some children may prefer wetter textures and need some more support to practice playing with dry, crunchy textures. In all cases, follow the lead of the child and adapt the play as needed to provide the right level of comfort and challenge. Think of a time that you've tried something new and a bit unfamiliar. New activities can feel challenging at first, and it's much easier when you take it one step at a time. It is important that we keep this in mind when doing messy play. We want to make sure that when a child is exploring new or less preferred textures, they don't feel overwhelmed. We want them to have a positive experience so they're keen to return to the activity again in the future. So, how can we grade the approach to help children build their confidence? A good first step is looking. You, the adult, can get started by modelling how to play and praise the child for watching and paying attention to what you are doing. Sometimes a child may be happy to watch others doing messy play, but does not feel confident to touch and get involved. In this case, you can offer a tool, such as a paintbrush, spade or spoon, so they can join in. Later, to increase the challenge, you can reduce or remove the tools, as this will encourage touching with fingertips or hands. Please remember, never force a child to touch or put their hand into play. It is important that they feel safe to participate in their own time. It is also important to show that we, the adults, are enjoying messy play ourselves. So please remember to get involved. When the child sees that we're having fun, it encourages them to feel safe and secure, sparks their interest, and helps them to pay attention. It also motivates them to join in and have fun. If your students are new to messy play, or they struggle with getting involved, we recommend starting off with dry textures. Can you think of dry textures that you might use for this stage of messy play? I know you have some great ideas. You could also use cereal and Weetabix, leaves, chalk, shredded paper, dry rice or lentils, or sand. Make it fun for the children by putting things that they like in the mix. Let them rescue the truck from under a pile of rice, or perhaps the dinosaur's causing trouble and they can fence him in using sand. Once a child is confident in playing with dry textures, they are ready to progress onto softer textures such as Play-Doh, feathers, different fabrics, cooked pasta, sponges, or kinetic sand. You can have fun sorting through colourful feathers, or you could try your hand at braiding or weaving with spaghetti. If your students are having fun and enjoying messy play with both dry and soft textures, you can consider moving on to explore some wet and sticky textures. Pull out the putty and Play-Doh, get creative with some finger painting, splash around in a water bath, or make a slime tank, or get digging in the mud. The highest level of challenge comes when we mix different textures. This could include activities such as printing with mixed fruit and vegetables, gardening, making pottery, cooking with different textures such as using different pizza toppings, creating a messy play world using a theme such as the beach or a farm, or making masks or faces using different foods. So, are you ready to introduce messy play at home or in your school? Here are some top tips to get started. Remember to have fun. Children are more likely to join in when they see you enjoying the activity. Introduce messy play activities gradually. Some children might need an extra time to get comfortable, and that's okay. Join in. Be an active role model and get involved. When you give it a try, it boosts their confidence and encourages them to follow your lead. Since it's messy play, expect some mess. Dress for the occasion with aprons or old shirts and protect the floor with newspaper or wipe clean mats. Never force a child to touch something if they don't want to. Keep tissue or wipes nearby and allow them to wash or wipe their hands as needed. And finally, offer tools like containers, cutlery or paintbrushes to help them interact with different textures at their own pace, but where possible, reduce the use of tools to increase the challenge. Now that you have developed your understanding of messy play and have lots of activity ideas, let's take some time to reflect on your own work setting and answer the following questions. You can pause the video after each question to take some notes. First, think about the child or children you work with and write down their names. Now ask yourself, what stage of messy play are they at? Are there any textures which they struggle with? You can write some observations down. Once you've done this for all the children, you can review similarities and differences. Are they all at the same stage? If not, what changes can you make to help everyone participate at their own level? Now let's reflect on the environment. What is the environment like in your messy play session? How many children are in the group? Does this feel like a manageable number? What's the space like? Is the environment set up so that children can watch or stand back if they need to take a break? Is it noisy or quiet? Calm or chaotic? Bright or dark? What other resources are in the room? So how might all of these factors affect a child's ability to engage in the messy play session? And finally, how could you support your students to progress to the next stage of messy play? Do you need access to new resources or alternative materials? Are there any tools in your classroom which you could use to grade the activity to make it easier or more challenging? Are there any other changes that you would make to your current messy play session based on what you've learned today? Thank you for listening. We would love to hear your thoughts and feedback about this messy play training presentation. Please use the QR code on the left to access the staff feedback form and tell us your thoughts. Please use the QR code on the right to access the Messy Play with Food videos on our OT YouTube channel.